Hey guys, I'm here with the one and only Bryan Harris from Boston Hardcore. How you doing?
Good, how are you? It's good to be here.
I'm fucking happy because you're finally here. This is the first time a Boston Hardcore band is in this country.
Which is what I heard. So for years, I remember, I never played Croatia, but I played the Balkans. I played near Croatia, and a lot of people from Croatia come to our shows, and I come to Croatia, come to Croatia. And is punk rock holiday in Croatia?
It's in Slovenia.
But anyways,
It's very close.
It's close, but I also see like in the summertime, there's beautiful people come holiday here.
Yes.
I'm like, so it's cool to be here. Unfortunately, it's the middle of winter, but for a hardcore show, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm also very excited. There's like 500, 600 people coming. It's a big
crazy.
thing. It's a big thing, you know. What I want to focus on talking with you about is Boston Hardcore.
Okay.
So let's start with like, what was in your youth the first like trigger in hardcore, you know?
So, I was into like metal and stuff, and then I remember like Headbangers Ball or MTV2 or maybe even like Beavis and Butthead. They played like a Suicidal Tendencies video, and they also played the Biohazard Punishment video. And I was like, what the fuck is this, right? Because I can swear, right? But it's not metal, and I like metal and I like hip hop, and I was like, but it looks like a bunch of street people speaking real music. So that led me down a rabbit hole, and then I started like figuring out who Agnostic Front was, and I was like, what is this? But my first show was in Boston. It was 1993. It was Biohazard. In this band called Stompbox from Boston, and Reason Enough, a Boston band, and that was my first show. And then I was like, it was very scary. It was crazy. I didn't understand. Like the bands were hanging out in the crowd, and I was like,
This is
cool.
strange, you know?
So for me, I was like, this is the coolest thing, and I was hooked, and I started going to shows all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a community thing. You see how
100%.
a fan can come talk with you for a scene and everything.
If it was a
in
big
popular
concert,
music,
you could-
never. You know, they're prima donnas, basically. You know what I mean? What were like the first Boston hardcore bands you listened to?
So at that time, you got to figure 93. So this band Stompbox, Reason Enough, who the second singer of Reason Enough went on to be in a band called Reach the Sky.
Okay.
So his old band Reason Enough, this band Brawl Park was very important to me. I don't know if they're on Spotify or anything, but they sounded kind of like Biohazard. They're from Boston, and I actually worked at Domino's Pizza.
Okay.
And a drummer who was older worked at the other Domino's, and we met up, and I went to the rehearsal place and learned how to be in a band. So Brawl Park, and then eventually Blood for Blood would be on the scene. Blood for Blood demo was like 94, 95. What else was going on in Boston at the time? This band Stompbox. Also, like, we had hardcore adjacent bands like Sam Black Church and Tree that would play all the time. So it made it easier to like, they would play with heavy bands, but they would also play just like alternative hardcore.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on in the Boston music scene in the mid 90s. And then as I got more and more into it, I started defining what I liked and learning about younger bands and learning about New York bands and all that stuff by different zines and thank you lists and all that stuff.
When we're talking about New York bands, this is something I want to talk to you about. So one of my favorite New York bands is Judge.
Okay.
They've got a song called New York Crew.
Yes.
In this song, the lyrics say Boston came and there was some trouble.
Yeah, so, okay.
So like, what's the origin of this
So
New York-Boston beef?
So this is like 80s stuff.
Okay.
This is before my time.
Okay.
But I know it has something to do. And I've heard stories from all different people,
Okay.
including Choke from Slapshot.
Yeah,
He's been around.
he was here
And also,
a few months ago.
I should take that back. I forgot to say, I don't know how it slipped my mind, but Slapshot was like when I was younger.
Of course.
Live at SO36 was a very important record for me. I know it was one of the first records. Anyways, so Slapshot as well. But talking to Choke, with touring with him, there's all these lores of like Boston people going to New York. So this is like some 80s stuff, and everybody has a different story of what happened. But like from my perception, and it's funny, me and like my first tour in Death Before Dishonor in Europe was with Agnostic Front.
Okay.
So New York people and Boston people from my generation on, not the 80s, mid 90s to now.
It's all friendly stuff.
Always, like, me and Freddie always make jokes. It's like, there might be sports rivalry, because that's the
Oh,
other thing.
that has a lot to do with
So I feel like it starts with, you got to remember in the 80s, hardcore isn't as big. It's very territorial, right?
Yes.
So, and all I know is stories. So, the Boston guys are all straight edge. The New York guys, I'm not saying, Judge was straight, but there was drinkers and this. It's all this like little shit. And I think people like, and people would travel too. So if SSD played New York, they would bring 5 or 6 carloads of people with them. Or if let's just say Murphy's Law was coming up Boston, they would bring a bunch of their friends. So you'd have people from different cities coming into a city moshing a certain way, and people are like, who is this?
Who are these guys?
So I know their fights happened, their stories, but I don't know, like, I don't think it was crazy.
So it wasn't some big thing like they
no,
make
but
it out to
I
be.
think over the years between, especially because of the sports rivalry,
Yes.
and it turns in, but like, I mean, Agnostic Front and Madball have done more for my band as a Boston band than many people have.
I believe.
And there's some of them are like some of my closest friends. So I get the lore, and sometimes, there's jokes, but ever since my era, if Madball played Boston, it was crazy. And they would play with Blood for Blood. Like, I've seen that. You know what I mean? So
Definitely. And let me ask you, when we're touching on the topic of bands, what would be like, I know it's a difficult question to answer,
sure.
top 3 hardcore bands of all time?
Okay. For me, personally, I would go Agnostic Front. One Voice was there's the first record that I got that I really loved.
Okay.
Then Madball, no questions. And honestly, I'd have to say Terror.
Terror.
Because aside from being an amazing band, they still do it, and they're still very active. So it's like, watch them live, they're the most energy, and they still pull up, like, every record they put out, I can still relate to it. You know what I mean? So I would say that's my top 3.
Definitely makes sense. And when we're talking on the subject of hardcore in general, bands, what was the main inspiration behind Death Before Dishonor?
So you got to figure, when Death Before Dishonor started, I had an old band. We didn't do much. And we had like a suburb of Boston was called Brockton. We had a big music scene.
Sorry, what was it called?
Brockton. The city's called Brockton. At this time, there was no shows in Boston proper because too much violence and stuff like that. Or I shouldn't say violence. So Boston's not a big city, even though it's a major city. There's a lot of universities there. So the places where Boston hardcore shows happen is right next to where the Red Sox play. So when there's a hardcore show letting out and a bunch of Red Sox fans, there's fights all the time.
Okay.
Everybody's like drunk.
This is classic.
Just classic.
Classic
right?
stuff.
So because of this, the clubs in Boston didn't really want to do shows, so they moved it to about 45 minutes south, Brockton. And so anyways, there was a bunch of bands there. There were shows there. My old band ended, and I wanted to do a new band, and I wanted it, at this time, you got to think, it's like, Master Killer's out, Satisfaction from Hatebreed, like, so I just wanted to do a heavy hardcore band.
Yes.
And that was just inspiration, like, all our old bands were a little bit different, just something heavy, and something that, like, maybe we could play out of Massachusetts and, like, do something more than just, like, a weekend. No big intentions, just wanted a heavy hardcore band and had fun and just, I don't know.
And now you're here in Croatia.
And that's the craziest thing about everything. It's like, I never thought that I would tour the U.S., let alone be in
Europe.
Like crazy. And that's why I'll always appreciate it. Like,
Absolutely.
Still to this day, we've been a band going on 25 years, I think, next year. And sometimes I'm fortunate enough, this is my first time in this country. How fucking cool is
That's
that?
fucking cool.
So cool.
And hardcore is a community thing, brings people together.
100%. I mean, like, look at this tour. I mean, it's like, and these are bands that I love, and like,
These are the bands we all love.
same, yeah. And even these cities, like, with like, I love the Balkans. Like, I know I haven't been to Croatia, but I've been to Bulgaria 4 times.
Yeah,
Serbia
shout
4
out
times.
Bulgaria hardcore.
Great
The best
scene,
in the
great scene,
region.
Great scene, Alex, Hope, all them, Vendetta,
Vendetta, Delian,
Rugged.
shout out Julian.
But yeah, all those people are super cool to us.
Definitely. And one more question I have for you. This year, I believe you have released like 2 new songs, Overruled
Yep.
and Old Friends Die Hard.
Yep.
Old Friends Die Hard has been a really special song to me.
Okay.
It's very emotional. Hardcore,
Okay.
I would say. Is there an inspiration behind the song?
So that's actually a cover song. A band called Bulldog Courage from upstate New York.
Okay.
And the singer of Bulldog Courage was one of my close friends and brothers, and he passed away.
I'm sorry.
It's been a bit. He was, it's okay. But I always thought that band was better and bigger than it should have been, and they did cool stuff. So it was an honor for me to do that song in honor of him. So that's why we did. Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually put out a full record, but we had a single, Overruled, and that other one was a single too. But yeah, it's a Bulldog Courage song, and it's very meaningful to me too because
It's a beautiful song.
it's cool. And he wrote it. I changed like 1 or 2 words in honor of him, and he wrote it in honor of other friends of his from before.
So it's
So it's like a full circle thing.
Full circle thing, yeah. And one more question to finish off the interview. What's one message you would have to young hardcore kids in this part of the world, keeping in mind that hardcore is not as popular here as in America,
right.
and it's on the rise?
I think that appreciate what you do. It's very important to support each other. Don't divide. Nobody's better than each other. Start a band, start a zine, book a show. If there's a show, whether you're not sure if you like it a lot, go support it. Maybe you make more friends. If everybody supports what we have and starts new bands and starts new zines and books their own shows, it can only get bigger. If you don't, you only take this and it only gets smaller. So just enjoy it, appreciate it, and like, if there's a hardcore show, whether it might be a little more metal, whatever, don't think, I don't like that. Think like, this is where all my friends are going to go. And all our friends go to every show and support it. And that's how we make it bigger.
That's really good to hear, and I think this is definitely something that should happen in this country.
Yep.
Thank you so much for your time, Bryan. Boston hardcore all day, every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.